Good morning. Today I would be speaking about the topic on how to decode the cranio-vertebral junction, which indeed is a very complex phenomenon. Whenever we think of the CV junction, like the Enigma code of the Second World War, there are many codes which are encoded if we have to treat this pathology successfully. And these are few of my disclosures. So let's start with the code for the sake of time. So the code 1, which was persistent for several years, is that it's the dens which causes compression. And it took us almost a decade for us to understand that it's not the dens which is causing compression or the cause of pathology. It is rather the joints. And this code was broken definitely by no other than Dr. Atul Goel, who said that the joint is not the problem. It is the dens is not the problem. Joint is the problem. And hence, there is nothing like reducible or irreducible AAD. The code 2 is that the dens keeps on progressively slipping inside the skull and moving backwards. And what could be the reason? So over years, with publishing so many papers, we have come to understand, and we have published this, demonstrating conclusively that there is a progressive severity of inclination of joints, which we have classified. More severe is the inclination, more severe is the basilar invagination and atlantoaxial dislocation. So the code breaker for this would be that the joints are inclined. And we have described new indices for this, which is again published. And in a more recent paper, which was the topic of PhD thesis for one of my residents who did it for almost 5 years, he demonstrated that the ligaments are likely to be inherently weak because there is a defect in the FPN1 gene, which is found in Marfan syndrome. And we found that this was mutated in almost 78% of our congenital cases, which is a significant finding. Hence, we proposed a new hypothesis that inclination of joints, along with weak ligaments, could be the reason why the dens is slipping upwards and backwards. The third code is that the transoral is never required. I would not agree, and I will encourage you to read my editorial in Neurosurgical Focus. So you could have some pathologies like clival segmentation anomaly, where a transoral surgery would be required. And hence, the code breaker is that it depends on the pathology. Code 4 is that the goal is only to reduce spinal compression. Nothing could be far from truth here. So we need to devise a surgery which not only reduces the spinal compression, but also corrects the deformity, not only at the level of CV junction, but also at the level of full spine. And that is where the technique of DCER, which we have described for more than a decade, is very, very effective. And hence it's important in CV junction surgery to correct both the deformity, both at the local level and the holistic level, and not just decompression of the spinal cord. And these are the papers which we published, and I will encourage the readers to go through it. So you can see how beautifully the local deformity is corrected. And also the entire spinal alignment is also maintained, which we have shown in our recent study, which is very important because most of these patients are young patients. Code 5 is never place an occipital screw. I don't agree with this. We have placed occipital screws in more than 300 patients. So whenever the C1 arch is fused, placing an occipital screw is very, very stable, provided you put it in the center and it is in form of a skew. It also reduces the risk of injury to the vertebral artery. One has to understand that there is absolutely no conflict of interest of the technique of DCER with Professor Goel's technique. So whenever the C1 arch is not fused, please go ahead with C1, C2 fixation. But whenever the C1 arch is not fused, that is where the technique of DCER has to be performed. And there is no role of traction. These are some of our other papers. Code 5 is that the spacer can be placed in all joints. It's not true. So whenever the sagittal inclination or the joint inclination is parallel to the ground, that's when you can comfortably place the spacers. But when the inclination increases, you need to either do a joint remodeling, the technique which we have described for the first time, or you have to do a technique called extra-articular distraction when the joint is completely vertical. So in extra-articular distraction, when the joint becomes vertical, the cranium settles on the proximal and the superior surface of the C2 pars, and hence that forms a pseudo joint. So it's very important to identify the pseudo joint and the true joint. As in this case, you can see that there is a severe BI, but however, we place the spacers in the pseudo joint, and this has led to complete reduction of the AAD and BI. Few other examples where we have done an extra-articular distraction with severe atlantoaxial dislocation and basilar invagination. And as you can see, this leads to a very solid bone fusion. Code 6. All the grades of cranio-vertebral junction have the same correction principle as the DCER. Again, this may not be true. For instance, here you find a very severe basilar invagination. And when we try to correct it, you could see that even though we corrected the basilar invagination, there was still a significant atlantoaxial dislocation. So what could be the reason? And the main reason is that there is a retrolisthesis of the C2. And to counteract this, we developed the universal reducer, in which we have a C2 translator screw, which pushes the C2 forward. So this is a C2 translator which pushes the C2 forward so that the atlantoaxial dislocation which happens because of C2 retrolisthesis is corrected. And this is a paper in neurosurgical focus where we have described it, and I will again suggest everybody to go through. So if you do not use a C2 translator, this is how you could end up in severe atlantoaxial dislocations and basilar invaginations. But wherever we have used a C2 translator, along where we were able to push the C2 forward, we were able to achieve very good reduction. This is because in severe AAD and BI, there is also an additional C2 retrolisthesis which needs to be corrected by pushing the C2 forwards. So let's summarize the codes and the codes breakers. So first is that the DENS causes compression. Yes, this is true, but the problem is not the DENS. The problem lies in the joints, and hence there is nothing like reducible or irreducible AAD. The DENS keeps on progressively slipping inside and backwards, upwards and backwards. The reason is that the joints are inclined and the ligaments are weak, as we have shown in our genetic studies as well as radiological studies. There is no role of transoral. This is not true. There are definitely some indications. The goal is to only reduce the spinal compression. Again, this is not true. The goal is deformity correction, spinal alignment, and spinal decompression. Never place an occipital screw is not true. Whenever the C1 arch is fused, you can very nicely place an occipital screw, but it should be midline. It should be in form of a skew, and the screw should intersect with each other. All grades of severity of CV junction have the same correction principle of DCER. This is not true. Yes, for most of the cases it's true, but when the AAD or BI is very severe, there is an additional C2 retrolisthesis. So you need an additional movement for you to push the C2 forward. So thank you very much for the lecture.